Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to the Sompon Global TV. And today we are having a conversation we started last week. Last Sunday, remember, we had the conversation on the importance of volunteerism, and we had some technical fault at the end of it so that we could not proceed with the benefit of why should we really volunteer, and of course the benefit of volunteerism. So today, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk let's talk about the benefits of volunteerism and why it is essential to support others without expecting any reward, and this should be done consciously. My name is Vera Sompon, and I'm your host for the business conversation. Stay tuned while you invite your friends. Thank you. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen, for the conversation of today. My name is Vera Sompon, and we are having the conversation on the benefit of volunteerism and why it is essential for you, for me, for us to support one another, to support people, to support the community, to support families, to support our organizations without expecting any reward. It sounds very brutal, direct, rude, but consciously without expecting any reward, and then see what happens at the end. Thank you so very much. I will be talking today a little bit about my experiences for the past 12 years in volunteerism, and I still volunteer today. For those who know me, most of the time, if you call me for a training program, I will hardly ask for any honorar because, especially in the African community, because I think that it's part of my responsibility as well to give back to the community, right? And so we want to do a kind of brainstorming again, or a kind of review for what we did last week. Last week we defined what was volunteerism, and then we said why we should volunteer and how we can volunteer, and of course where we should or where we can volunteer. A brief summary again, so that for those who were not here last week can still remember. Please, if you're here, you're tuning in for the first time, you're welcome to the Sompon Global TV, a platform we created a year ago to support people with African heritage, but especially to create a space whereby we can come, heal together, empower ourselves, then take actions, and especially positive actions for the change we are also desiring, because I know that we all are desiring change, but usually they say it is difficult to really put the change we are also looking for. So the platform is really to, yeah, inspire one another and hope that we can transform one another and be those examples we want to be in the community, or again in the world at large. So, and of course this takes a lot of volunteerism. When I'm talking about volunteerism today, then it takes lots of volunteerism, because we are doing this work even at the moment on a volunteer basis. So if you are there and you really want to also volunteer your time, your service, your talents of speaking and communication to the Sompon Global TV, you're welcome, because we are doing this on a volunteer basis, and we are doing this because we want to give back to the community. And so that takes us back to the review of last Sunday. What is volunteerism? It's giving your time, it's giving your services, it's giving your money. Some people may not have the time, but they have the money. And so they consciously say, I'm going to give every month consistently this amount of money to this particular organization to support the work of this organization, because I don't have time to do that and I don't have time to get involved. You can also give your time and say, hey, maybe I don't even have the fund for it, I don't have enough money, but I have a lot of time. I can devote a day in a week, I can devote 2 hours a day, I can devote once a month for a specific assignment for this organization or for these people, for this neighborhood. And this is also from my talents, so you give your talent or you give your skills. We have many people out there who are good at doing creating web pages, and so you can just check a website and say, hey, wait a minute, this I can help them with this service, improve improve the quality of their work in the area of web designs. And maybe the new one today is social management, right? And social media management, that you can say, I'm very good at networking on the diverse social pages, and therefore I want to devote my time for that, right? Or again, like I said, you can devote your finances, you can devote your gifts, you can devote your time, you can devote, and it must not be the whole day, it must not be every time, it must not be every day. You can really choose depending on the project. We have more than 80 volunteers with the Sompon Social Service who are mentors for mentees, helping them in diverse areas. Those who are just there for homework with children, those who are just there to read letters, translate them. So you can just become a mentor, or you can also be on the board of direction for some other organizations. So all depends on what this organization may need, and your own talent, your own gifts, and of course, where you think you're good at. So I usually would recommend, don't go start looking for something spectacular that you've never done before. No, that's not the essence of volunteerism. Volunteerism should be something that you're passionate about. It should be something you love doing. It should not be because you're frustrated and you think this is a new way, maybe I can just get something doing. Except you really want to learn something, then when you get into an organization, you should be precise. It will be preferable you say you want to do a practical, or you want to do a training program, so that one knows that you're really coming for this particular, you want to get knowledge, right? But if you say, I want to volunteer my time, then you should already define how much of your time you want to give to that neighborhood, to that organization, how much of your time you want to give to this family, how much of your time or how much of your gift you want to give, right? So I also translate usually, and I will translate from the English language to the German language. It's my gift that I'm giving also to different organizations, right? So you can put that into time and say, for me, I do every Sunday, I translate in a particular organization, and this is my own gift I've decided to give there, right? So I do not expect anything from them, but usually if you have to pay for a translator, then it will cost you. So you can say, hey, I give my gift, I give my time, or I give my finance. So there are different kinds of way you can volunteer. We have the passive volunteers. and the active volunteers. And usually, at the German level, the passive volunteers are those that are there passively, but most usually the support with the finances. And then the active volunteers are those who are really involved. They're doing, and they involve even with their cash. They pay membership fee. Now, this will shock most of you. When I volunteered in most organizations, I would think that when I started volunteerism, I would think that, oh, but I'm already volunteering, so that's already my money, and that's already, if I calculate that to money, it will be this. But it may shock you. Most of the people who are very active are those who are also giving in their finances to that organization, giving their time, giving their gifts, and really devoting a lot of time and their knowledge and all that, right? So, but you can just decide. You don't have to be a member of an organization to volunteer with them. So this is what I didn't tell you the last Sunday. You must not be a member of an organization, because usually that's a confusion. People want to become members of that organization. You can choose if you want, but you must not be a member of any organization before you get to volunteer your services, except that is a clause or a point, an important issue for that organization. But usually you must not be a member of an organization, particularly here in Germany, before you give in your services, right? But if you choose to be, then it's also beautiful. Why not? If the organization are still looking for members, then fine. And if you're a member, then it comes along to with membership fees, because many people do not understand this. If you're a member of an organization, then you have to pay the membership fees of that organization, right? And usually it can be 12 euros a month, and then you calculate that to a year. It can be €1 a month, and you sum that together for a year. It gives you 12 euros. So all depends on the organization, all depends on the constitution of that organization, and all depends on the board of that organization, what they decided before or during the year, as the year begins, right? So like usually every organization, when they start, there's a year in October, usually they agree, they work on the plan for the next year, and then they agree together, this is what we want to do for next year, 2022, and this is how we want to have it, right? So all these, you have to also know it. So it's important, if you are in an organization, that you really know the rules, because and the constitution. It's so unfortunate that many people are in members of organization, but they hardly read the constitutions of those organizations, and it is really, really not too good. If you are a member in any organization, I recommend that you read the constitution, so that there will be no frictions. And if you read the constitutions and you understand the constitutions, then you will understand the work easily, right? When they're taking decisions, you will understand it as quick as possible, because you have read through the constitution. But unfortunately, even some employees don't even read the constitution, so that it makes the work really difficult. And that's why I recommend that if you get into an organization, make sure, even if it's volunteer in any form, as a practicum, as a trainee, as a volunteer, as an employee, the first thing you must do, and the first thing you must request for, is a constitution of that organization. The essence of the constitution is to help you understand the primary goals of that organization. If not, you come in there and you see people are doing things and you think, but I want to do it this way, I want to do it that way. No, you don't just come in, I want to do this way or that way, without checking the constitution, right? So check on the constitution, not because you want to query the constitution, because it's none of your business, especially if you're a volunteer, but because you want to understand the process of the work, you want to understand the constitution, you want to understand the organization, so you can better give your services, right? Are we okay with that? Now, if you're okay with that, let me know so that I should not overtalk on things that are not so necessary. You're all welcome. I can see you all. Thank you for joining the conversation today. You that is watching from YouTube and from Facebook, I appreciate you. If you're tuning in the first time, I encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube page, again, to also to the Facebook, follow us so that you can get all these informations free of charge. These are informations that will help you if you want to start up your own organizations. You already know the importance of certain things, and of course, you can encourage some other person, and you can, of course, tag someone and encourage someone to come listen, because many people may need this information. I know many of you out there who want to start up their own organizations, but would not want to be online now. If you can't be online, no problem. Then I wish you all the best when you're watching the next time. That, and if you have questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Okay. And for disclaimer, we are not paying anybody. We don't have money for this work we are doing. It's a volunteer work. So this is also part of my volunteer service for the African community, especially in the diaspora. So today we want to look again deeply. Now we know what volunteerism means. We know that what is important to take into consideration when we want to volunteer in an organization. Last week we also spoke about why we should volunteer. I just want to give a quick reminder of why we should volunteer. If we go back to the 1945, that's when we had the Second World War. But even before that, we had the First World War, especially here in Europe. And you see, Germany was built on the basis of volunteerism, what we call the Ehrenamt. Now, Ehrenamt is a structure where it is really like you have an office and they give you an honor for an office, right? And as days and time went by, we also developed now what we call the Freiwilligendienst, which is the volunteer service in itself. And with the Freiwilligendienst or the volunteer service, you really have that it's a broad service, it's a big area. We are a recognized body for volunteer service in the area of development, right? But now there are other organizations that are recognized, like the FSJ, it's for socials. We have also the Bundesfreiwilligendienst, and we have also the Militärdienst. So we have also the military year. And so you can choose any of these years, usually 1 year. And if you really love it, you can prolong it to the other 1 year, 24 months. And it's so depending on you and depending on how you fitted into that organization. So for those who want to apply for the volunteer here in the area of development, it's all about the Agenda 2030. Agenda 2030 is Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, which with 17 goals, and fighting against poverty, fighting against inequality, and all these goals, partnership, work together, innovation in education and industry. And then, of course, for those who know us already, we're working with the Africa We Want with the Agenda 2063. So we're combining these agendas together. And if you're going to do the volunteer year with us, then you have to be sure that we're going to train you in these diverse programs. And of course, we're going to also train you in the way of thinking, that you have to understand the the racism structures. You have to understand the power structure in the world. You have to understand the content of racism and all these things. You have to understand them. And if you're a German who is going to Cameroon, then we have to really, really educate you again to understand that you're not the savior who is going to be going to Cameroon to save any person, because you're not a savior and you're not an expert, right? So you're a young person who wants to go and open up their horizons, cultural horizons, as well as developmental horizons. So, but you're not an expert, and so we have to go through with you to educate you on that, right? So we are, just for you to know, the different areas of volunteerism that exist also here in Germany. And of course, there's an international volunteerism for children and youth. They're different in volunteerism sectors. All depends on which of them you want to get involved, right? But one thing is very sure: before you want to get involved into any forms of volunteerism, you must first of all calculate the cost, right? You first of all understand why you want to do it. And we spoke about that lengthily last week. So you can just go back to our videos for last week. It's online, and check again the conversation of last week, which was on the what how um volunteerism can open you business opportunities, or again job opportunities, right? So, and this is why we are going to be talking now today, the benefit of volunteerism. If you're here and you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask your questions. And I do not want to talk alone, even if I'm alone today to give the lecture on this, but I'll implore you to ask your own questions, send your contributions, tag somebody, invite someone, invite a young person who may just need this and who wants an orientation. Usually, young people want to orientate themselves and they're confused. What do I do? I don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do. And you're asking a young person at the age of 21, 23, 24, 18, 19, what do you want to do? I don't know. If you have a young person in your environment who really don't know, then this program is important for them, and volunteerism is important for them, because it will give them a sense of orientation. They will be orientated, and of course, they from this 1 year, they will have enough experience to now decide, ah, I think I'm good to work with people that need support. I think want to work with old people. Maybe I want to work with in the area of development, an amazing area, right? So if you have someone in your area that really needs this information, please give them. And we are already doing the interviews with our young people. We have already registrations from young Germans that, of course, we were sure we are going to have from them. But we want to also encourage our young people out there. If you're here, please, and you have a young person, especially our African brothers and sisters, encourage them. It is 1 year of experience that you will never buy with money. Unfortunately, our people do not even have this information. So unfortunate, and so unfortunate that our people don't even make use of this information. Even when they have the information, I think they feel like having 1 year to go and work with other people for free, it's a waste of year. But I tell you, for a young person, it's an extremely important process in their development. I pray and I hope that you take this serious and you invite someone to take this also very serious. Now, let's get into the benefits of volunteerism. Now, I'm seeing you, I see you, Lillian, I see you, Leah, I see Edna, I see Ruth, I see Mary, I see Messman, I see Ephraim, I see Princess Hope. Thank you very much for joining the conversation. God bless you. And now let's go back to the topic of today, which is talking about the benefit. Now, I can't talk about the benefits of volunteerism without talking about my personal experience, right? So, because I think that it's the only way by which you can really understand what I mean by volunteerism. Now, um, 2009, I started the work of Sompon Social Service. Now, I always say that I did 8 years of volunteerism, but practically I'm still volunteering in my organization, right? But it's not like the first 8 years or the first 9 years. Now, the first 8 years of my organization, the Sompon Social Service, was practically on volunteerism. Now, it meant that when I attended all the training, when I attended all the meetings, when I wrote down concept, when I was doing the holiday programs, when I was doing parents education, it was only passion that was driving me to do this. When we're talking about racism work, we started the organization because of racism. And when we were doing racism work, now we are in Esslingen, we are recognized. I'm a lecturer on that area. in the university, and I started too like volunteerism, So now, what are the benefits? Because I started the work and started talking about the ailments, the challenge that Africans were facing, and mentioned the African or Black racism that has to do directly with Black people, and and I was doing that with so much passion and having no money out of that. Pay attention. I was working full time in my with my employer. I was full time, and I was doing most of the work, the weekends, nights, and the weekends, most of the work. And of course, when I left work maybe early enough, like 2 o'clock, then I could easily still do again the work. So the first 8 years was really intensive work. Now, the first 2 years, 3 years was very intensive. Then I realized that the work was becoming a norm, enormously great and important. I had to attend all the meetings, political meetings, to present the work, and all this. You are not writing down the hours. You're not writing, I came from this time to this time. Who will pay you for that, by the way? And up to today, I tell everyone we employ, we are basically an institution that is based on volunteerism. So if you're going to be looking a lot of your time, then you're not part of our team, because our team don't look at the time when I came and when I did not come. If you're writing down the hours, it's just because of the documentary work for outside. But for us, we don't have that much, because most of our work is really based on volunteerism. So, one, I got a lot of expertise. You can't pay. There is nobody who can train you except you doing it yourself and practicing and making your errors. When I look at young people who start up an organization or who do something, and when they come in with the force of thinking they are the all knowing, they want to change the whole world. I wish someone told me quickly that, no, Vera, when you get into business, you have to respect those who are in business already, because they are doing just what they can do. And if you have found your niche, then concentrate on your niche without making people feel that they are not worthy, right? And I remember that this passion was so much in me, and I would keep asking questions, and telling people that migrants are really suffering, immigrants, and especially the Black people, and telling them how they're not doing much. And but one thing I forgot was that, in as much as we were pushing these people like this, they were having more, they were putting stones on your road, right? So that you should not even evolve again. They just decided to put stones, because it was like telling them, for the past 20, 30 years, you have been doing this work, but you're not even meeting your clients, right? And now I'm going to come, the Sompon social service, and everything will be fine, right? And then I quickly realized that, hey, wait a minute. And how did I realize this? Because I had the space to train myself. I had the space to make my mistakes. I had the space to understand the political conversations. I had the space to deal with people at higher level, and I could communicate with them, right? So one very important benefit of volunteerism is the expertise you get, you will never have if you were just working. The expertise you get, you will never have if you were just, doing diggly darling. I do like I want, right? And then the second thing is that it helps you to be consistent. That's a good thing with volunteerism, especially if you take it serious. Remember last time I told you the story of my employee now, and I will keep talking about her, Liva, because she started consciously, consciously, and said, Vera, you know what? Every Tuesday I'm going to come to the office and do this work. And hey, my people, this woman came every Tuesday. It's a Black woman like you and me. She came every Tuesday unfailingly. If she failed to one Tuesday, she would tell me 1 week in advance, Vera, I won't be able to come next Tuesday, but I will come on Wednesday for this. I mean, this is what we call consistency. There's no wonder that if there were ways to open doors for the first persons will be her, because you know that she is devoting her time for that. And when she says it is so, she does that. So her word, her yes is yes and her no is no, which is so important, right? So you learn to be consistent if you want to. One, you learn expertise. Two, you learn to be consistent. Three, you learn the business language. In fact, four, you learn negotiations. I tell you, it is in the process of my building up that I learned to negotiate, that I learned to say no, and still smiling while saying no. Because it's not a taboo to say no, right? I mean, it is in this process that I learned to say, oh, I'm sorry, I won't be able to do this, but don't take it personally. It's just that I don't have the resources for this. Can you imagine? If I didn't do this work and learned from saw others and we're always meeting, I would never understand even how to say no to certain things. I'm sure you're here, you may not even be able to say no. If they call you somewhere, you just go, even if you don't want to, right? But I learned quick from my volunteer service to be able to say no and to have this political language. What do I mean by political language? To be able to say even the most difficult things, very tough things, in a way that it will not have to penetrate the individual as an individual. I don't know if I got that very well, so you can understand it. It means that if we are in a meeting, in a setting, and there are different opinions, point of views, I quickly learned to pass out the message without necessarily having to make you as the individual feel like I was talking directly to you and opposing you, right? So you learn this also as time goes on when you volunteer in a company for long, because you learn to come to work with different people, right? And I quickly learned also, I saw from my partners, from the partner, and they didn't know that I was doing all this volunteering. I mean, some people knew, some did not know, and I didn't have to tell everyone, the whole world, that I'm doing this volunteer work. So no, I didn't have to. So they gave you, I learned quickly to also have a stand. Even in as much, there was no difference between if you're an employee, you're a volunteer, or you're a practicum, or you're doing practicals. There was no difference for me, right? Because we're all doing a particular service in a different ways, right? So lots of benefits, lot of benefits. I don't want to talk about the contracts I won because of volunteerism. Now, this is not with Sompon Social Service. This is also with other organizations. I remember some few months ago, a friend contacted me and wanted us to do some work. And I chose out of my own free will to go beyond that. And I'm doing, when I want to do some flyers for them, I just do it. I do not even care if it's how they're going to give me money or not, because that's a gift now that I have. So I just keep supporting. Do you know, because of just helping, I have gotten more than how many contracts behind just helping people to check their flyers. Just as simple as that, right? So you do a flyers, and then someone calls you and say, who did this? I liked it. And then I said, I can do for you. And I did not even ask how much is it, would you give? I didn't even care about that. But I think because you did not even ask, make the people feel like, hey, this person can be interesting, right? And I've gotten contracts worth of real good monies, right? That if I had to give prices for the work I did, I'm sure the people would have said, okay, she's money minded, and then it will be difficult. She will be difficult for us. We don't even have the money, by the way. And like many migrant organizations, we don't always have money kept aside. Some of the organizations work on projects. Not all organizations have reached the point where they are giving, they have employees. So most of the time, the organization work really on right, on projects. And projects are things that you don't even write everything. At times you forget to put the publicity work, and once you have forgotten to put the publicity work, then be sure you can do publicity for that project. But then you also know that publicity is so important, right? So how do you go about it? Now you have to find someone in the community that can be able to offer their services for that publicity without expecting money from you, right? Because indeed you do not have. Okay, the challenge we have usually is the fact that when people sit from behind, they analyze from their perspective and they see things from their own eyes and conclude things they are not very sure of. They are not having facts for that. They are just assuming, and it's so dangerous to base your facts on assumptions when you can't prove anything, right? And that's a challenge that we are facing in the community, is that we usually base our point of views on assumption. We're assuming that Vera cannot be doing this work. How can she be working on these programs 4 times a week for free? Or she must be having money for this, right? Or how can other people be just doing this work with her for free? Oh, there must be some money behind it, right? Now, when you are so money conscious, I tell you, I have the impression it flees from you, because many people don't want to deal with that. The right minded people, when you do something for them, even if they don't pay you in cash now, they remember you, they know that you are them. So you don't even have to remind them of that. They have put you on one of their records. Be sure about this, be very sure. So, one of the benefits of volunteerism is the open doors of business opportunity. Um, Now, Lillian is saying, how can she be doing it for free? That's a big problem, right? That's true, Lillian. But yeah, that's the thing. The question is, what is free, right? And we have to really come back to reflect what we really want, right? And like I said, it is in doing that you discover even yourself. You are becoming. One of the benefits is you are becoming. You don't want to imagine when you consciously decide to volunteer in an organization or in a life of somebody. You consciously becoming something, because you've taken a conscious effort, you've made a conscious decision to want to add value, right? So you are becoming something, even unconscious to you. So one of the other benefits is a financial benefit. Now I come to financial benefits. Now, but the financial benefit is not usually how we think about it. That you come and say, okay, Vera, I work for you. And now someone came and said, Vera, I want to do your moderation, but I want some money out of it. And I'm like, by the way, you're just going to come and sit and talk, and I'm going to do all the work, and you want money from me. I can just keep that money if I had that extra money. If there's somebody you want to fund or support, actually, it should be somebody who is already giving the time, energy into that issue. And that takes me to the conversation with an ambassador friend of mine who told me, Vera, I never employ someone I have never volunteered with or worked with. I never employ them. And I was asking, how? Why? And he said, if you have people, you have volunteered with them, you will know their character, you will know their attitude, you know their how far. And such people deserve all the money that they can have, because they have given their time already without any expectation. And of course, if there is an open door, you want to remember them first, right? Unlike just taking people who are just coming for that particular job or that particular work, right? Usually they don't come with the intention to give any additional value to the organization. They just come for their jobs, for their work. And it's so difficult nowadays if you're only having people that are just there for their work, because they would be the one to tell you, I came 8 o'clock and I'm going back 10 o'clock. I came 5 o'clock and this is so boring. Right. And this is so boring. So, but how does this volunteerism open you doors? Now, today, the Sompon Social Service got different employees. And how did we? Because being volunteering in different organizations brought us in contact with the people who sit where there is cash, right? So at that point, you were just thinking, so I think my husband was like, "You're always coming back late. You're from one meeting to the next one." But it is that one meeting to the next one that gave that opportunity to sit now with people who decide who gets what money, right? And then it was an opportunity because now they know you as an individual. Now, this is a point. When you volunteer, the people know you as an individual. They know your strength, they know your weaknesses, and then they can say, this lady is really active, right? Now they know you, and most of the time, for those who are in Germany, the biggest challenge we have is the untrust, the lack of trust that our colleagues, our German colleagues, our white people, that they should open up and really trust you and just say, "Oh, I see this organization is doing an amazing job. We just give them," right? You have to prove your worth. And how can you do that? It's by involving yourself in their organizations as well. Then they get to know you as well. They get to know how you're working. They get to know how you involve. Now they know you. Most of our contract, most of our projects we had because the people who sat there knew me already as an individual. One can say if it's in the African context, we'll say it's corruption. But in this context now, is that they know you. They simply know you. They know how you're dealing. They know how you're working, and they know that you're involving yourself. And see, the more they know you, that's how the more the doors begin to open for you. As simple as that. The more they know you, the more the doors get open. But now you can stay and you can say, no, I'm not interested in doing any volunteerism, and I don't want to give my time for nothing. Be sure you will also get nothing. Now, for those who are doing business, and those some people will say, yeah, but we are doing business. What has that got to do with volunteerism? If you are doing your business, find an organization that's a non-profit organization, a German non-profit organization, get involved there, or an African organization that is also professional and doing great jobs, get involved there. You don't have to involve because you want to go and steal the concept, see what they are doing, and want to go and imitate it somewhere, copy it somewhere. That should not be your goal. Your goal should be, I want to devote myself, my 1 hour a week, 10 hours a week for this organization to help them grow. That's your gift, right? And see the magic, see the wonders that happens, right? So we've had employees, we've had financial doors open because we sit in those organizations volunteering. Now, another example that makes me laugh, last week, 3 weeks ago, I think 3 weeks ago, I was appointed like the president chairlady of one big organization for migrant organization in organization, a big organization, the Paritet. And I was given an assignment. And because I'm already conscious of volunteerism, I did this assignment without even asking for any money. So I was supposed to talk on youth work and social work in migrant organization. So I prepared everything and I presented it. Last week, I got a letter that I should send my rational. What's that again? Someone remind me in English. This paper. How do they call that word? You know the word rational. If you know the word, please just write it down for me. That I should send a rational, and I'm writing the people to say I'm sending a rational for what? What did I? What for? What work? And the guy said, Vera, what? Just put the 500 euros on it and then send to us. I wasn't even expecting this money because I didn't even do it because I just did because I'm part of the organization and I decided to do it. And then that was a surprise, a receipt. Thank you, mommy. Thank you, mommy de Caro. That was a surprise. I mean, that was last week. And I was like, oh, this is another gift, right? 500 euros is just coming into your account for just having the talk. And there was nothing, no intention of putting any receipt. There was no intention. There was nothing. I didn't want to put any receipt. I didn't think about that, right? Because for me, that is for me, my part of giving back to that organization. And so this is what to tell you. Some people may not even ask you, how much do you want us to give? But they will surprise you, like this case, right? And this is for me. This is for me again an important lesson to learn, that each time you go to volunteer, please forget the fact that they should give you something. That's why you should do it according to your abilities, according to your resources. And you know what? You have enough resources. It could be your talent. Let me take the case of Brigitte Mafoma, who is doing chips. You know, she has gift in doing these small snacks, right, and selling. Now, just an example, Brigitte. You're welcome also, by the way, Brigitte, to the conversation today. Yes, you had the space to learn and grow. Thank you very much, ma'am. Now, let's take the case of Brigitte, who is doing this amazing snacks, right? The snacks. Now, Brigitte can say, I want to volunteer my snacks for this organization. Now, and every snack that is bought, €1 goes to this organization. That's an example. €1 goes to this organization. Now, the amazing thing is, when you're writing about your snacks, you will now say, I am supporting organization ABZ financially because they are doing an amazing work. And each packet of my chips you buy, each packet of my ching ching you buy, each packet of my peanut you buy goes a long way to support young children, young refugee children, or children with refugee experiences, and that the work of Sompon Social Service they're doing an amazingly great job to help these people. Now, let me shock you. That business will start working so quickly because the German system, or most Germans usually, want to attach something to their business. They don't just want to just do a business without having the Gemeinwohl, so the community involved, right? And imagine you do this let's say you do this with a German organization. The German organization already have another network, and they are the ones to promote. They will now automatically promote that work. You know why? Because you have volunteered to give €1 per package that you sell to a particular organization. But unfortunately, many people do not see it this way. Unfortunately, many people think that, oh, no. If I have to do this, it means I'm losing. Now, the question would be, what else can you offer as time for an organization so that they get to know you? And from knowing you, knowing your abilities, they get to even give you more contracts, or they get to give you open doors where you can come talk about your work. And remember, even if you're talking about your business, if you finish talking about your business and it's all about your profit, be sure that very few people will really want to really support it, because usually it's like, it's only about her, right? And that's why I tell many people, many of our country people that are doing businesses, purely businesses, I tell them, make sure you have what they call the social, I've forgotten the word, where you have to really give back to the community, and be conscious about it. Be conscious about it, and write that in your content, write that in your project, so that when you're talking about your business, which is like you're selling food, be very conscious. Tell it, and knowing that the people who are buying because of the project. Now, I used to do catering before the Corona time. We will offer catering service only for specific people, for our business partners, for our German business partners. When we offer them business catering, below was always clear. When you take our business, our catering services, it's because we want to fund projects back home. And for you, maybe many of you already have heard us say we have funded projects back home, even worth 4,000 euros for young people who have done to be able to start up something without asking them anything, any interest, giving them cash, 3 million, 2 million, so they can do businesses, right? And this was as a result of when we offered our catering services. And because they knew us, because we volunteer in the same organizations, now they got our catering. And when they got our catering service, they got it because they know us, remember? They know the person of Vera, they know the organization. And then, of course, when I present it, I tell them, remember, we are doing this because we want to support young people back home, and automatically it opens doors. I remember one of my business partners, he gave us a contract and there were 35 people to eat, and he said, Vera, give us food for 35 people. I said, okay, no problem. And I sent him but the concept. I told him, when you take food from us, it's not about us, it's about the people back home. It's our way of supporting the young people to avoid a lot of immigration, people dying in the sea. And I didn't send him a bill or a receipt. He paid 3 times more than if I had given him a receipt, right? So I made a receipt quite all right, but I didn't put any price in it. I just sent it to him and said, decide. That's also part of volunteerism, right? I know him. We're in the same organization, engaged. He would have said, okay, that's okay. Then I can just put some, it's okay. If I calculate the Chinese food here, they eat 7 euros per hour. Okay, let's say it's African food. Maybe we put 10 euros, per food, and then that 35 calculated. No, he didn't do that. Why? Because he knew me, and two, because he knows exactly that the money they're giving will go for that purpose, right? And indeed, he paid 3 times. If I was supposed to put it myself, the receipt or the bill, it would not have been what he paid. But why did that happen? Because we volunteer, because I volunteered my service to him. It didn't bother me much to say how much are they going to pay and all that. And but I knew that he's going to take care of it because he was asking for our service for catering, and so for sure he's going to pay for that and he's going to take care of that. But he took that and paid extra. Why? Because he heard about the social project that was attached to it, right? So now, just a summary again. If you're coming, you're just joining, thank you for joining the conversation. Make sure you share the link with friends. Invite someone to really listen to this video again. And if you have young people who really want to do a volunteer year, especially in Cameroon this year, let them get in touch with me. It could also be Germans. Let them get in touch with us. Our email is behind presser@sompon.socialservice.org. And of course, send their CVs to us, and of course, we will invite them for invitation. Don't write me directly personally because there's a team of people working on this. So just write it on the email. Go to our website, www.sompon-socialservice.org, and you're going to get all information about the VET program. And it's an amazing program for migrants, especially. And of course, my greatest desire is that African young people make use of it, but of course it is open for every young person, irrespective of age, color, gender, origin, and so from the age of 18 to the age of 27, so you can apply for it. um, I hope that you've been able to learn something. If you have any questions, you can just put in your questions. We can now exchange. But today was more about the benefits because last time we had a challenge with the internet. I'm grateful to God that it has not happened again. I'm sorry for those who were here last time. And again, to summarize it, the benefits are enormous. Just put it in mind, each time you're doing something for others, you're doing it for yourself. You don't want to know how often I have dedicated my time to teach somebody something, and how much I have learned in the process of wanting to teach somebody something. So not because I didn't even know I needed that information, right? I can't imagine how often I have become more structured because I wanted just to help in a team, and then entered in a team where they were very structured, and I just copied word for word how they were structured and just fitted in according to our own programs and according to our own subjects and our own conversations, right? So there's a lot of benefit when you're going in there. Don't always just go in because you think I want to go and copy what they are doing. I can be able to do it for myself. If you want to do what I am doing, you make sure you write me and say, Vera, you know what? I love what you're doing. I would like you to teach me what you're doing so that I can be able to do it too. Then I will tell you, you know what? This is what you need. This is what you need. This is what you need. Two things can happen. Either you attend the intensive master's class that is coming up from September, or you do a practical with us. And of course, in practicals, you will need to ask a lot of questions so that I can answer you and answer your questions, right? And help you in the process. But be sure when you're giving your services, do not expect anything. Do not be transparent. Do not give your service with the one eye closed, like, let me see what they're doing. Do not go into an organization because you want to provoke and see, are they doing this better? It's none of your business, right? If you're getting into an organization, the first thing you must do, please ask them, can I read your organization structure so that I can know exactly what it's all about and I know where I can help, right? Now, we have some organizations that are maybe insecure, but you know what? Some of them are on the internet. Just go there, check them, and then you'll get the constitutions, how constitutions are being written, what are constitutions. Read it so that you know exactly more about your organization that you have chosen, so that when you're involving yourself, you are not you're not being like, how do I put it? You're not being like, like a spy, right? So that because some people really fear when another African say, I want to come and engage with you, they are afraid. Why? Because they're not used to. So, but want to make these things so common that you can call me and I say, yes, I can volunteer my time for you. I have maybe 3 hours a week for you. And if you have something during these 3 hours, I can offer it, but not more, because you know I have much to do too. And you should be able to respect that as well, and respect the flexibility of people who want to volunteer their time for your organization. I hope this was informative enough, and I hope that you've learned something. If you learned something, just write below so we can know if you've learned anything. I want to recognize the presence of Brigitte Manfo, who says, what is free? You might not receive money, but you can build a lot of network. You impact lives, etc. And that's true. And impactation is more than just money. The thing is, when you impact lives, it come back to you in form of money, in form of joy, in form of property. Amazingly, our office in Esslingen, we got it because we were volunteering in the state of Esslingen, and then we were so close at the political organizations, and then that's how we got to get access to that building, right? And all of our buildings are just very centered. Even in Göppingen, our building is there. The lady that gave me the building, the office in Göppingen, and the second office, we met at the job center, and she was supposed to do a contract. She wanted a contract. She had the qualification that the job center required. We didn't have the qualification, but we had the people, and she didn't have the people. And that's how we negotiated together. And I said, you know what? I have the people, you have the qualification. I'm sending you all the people, and you can do the work. And that's how we became friends. And that's when she was leaving her office, she thought about me, the first person, hey, would you mind having an office in Göppingen? That's how we got an office. And she told me then, Vera, the landlord is a very white conservative person. I'm not too sure he will want to give you, but let's try, right? And we got the office because we had someone who could speak on our behalf. So you don't want to imagine how much giving your services can bring back to you. How much you don't just want to imagine, right? And I hope that I was able to open your, enlighten you again to some of these things. Thank you, Lillian Petri, for always joining the conversation. I appreciate you so very much. for always giving your time to this conversation. And she says, thank you very much for enlightening us. Are they volunteering in Germany or outside Germany? They will be doing this for the vet program, Lillian. This particular program is for Cameroon, so they will be volunteering in Cameroon. But of course, in Germany, you can also volunteer with us. I don't want to do any publicity for us as an organization, but of course, you can volunteer with the Sompon Global TV. You can volunteer with Sompon Social Service. You can volunteer with us in diverse ways. Bring in your own gifts. We can always talk about it to see where you can fit in. But this particular program, the Veg program, Lillian, is for those who are going to do volunteerism in Cameroon, and we have spaces for just 5 people this year. As the years goes by, we're going to be adding more, but this year we have for 5 people to go to Cameroon, and I'm so excited to see the young people who are going to be training for the program. Ruth Nangi, thank you so very much for joining the conversation today, and she's asking, or she's saying, thank you so much for the enlightenment in this topic or in this theme. Yes, it is very important to know the constitutional rules. That's very true. Thank you so very much. And thank you for joining the conversation today. I have been your host, Vera Sompon, hoping to see you again another time for another conversation. Tomorrow, we are having the debate with my colleague, Evis Bolifor, and he will be talking on, of course, Africa after post-colonialism. The same time, 20 o'clock, you don't want to miss this conversation. We want to build the Africa we want. Who else is involved if not you? Join the conversation tomorrow. And thank you for joining, and thank you for giving me your time. God bless you, and hope